Hi everyone. I am Barkha Dutt. I'm a journalist based out of Delhi in India. I've been a journalist for more than 30 years, and I am very excited today as someone who champions the cause of women who dare to dream and break barriers and achieve their dreams. I'm very excited today to be in conversation with Vaishnavi Yathirajam. Vaishnavi is somebody who has a very exciting project, a very exciting new company that we'll talk about in just a moment. But first, a little bit about how she even got to this point. Vaishnavi is based in the United States of America. She's obviously from India originally, and she's somebody who grew up wanting to work at NASA, and she achieved that dream. So before we come to the new exciting new project and company that she's going to unveil, Vaishnavi, we don't see a lot of women in sort of the high end space of science, the last frontier as it's called. You grew up wanting to be at NASA and you achieved that goal. You made that dream come true. Talk a little bit about why that was your dream and how you went about achieving it.
Sure. So, Barkha, I must first begin by saying that you've been a true inspiration in the world of journalism. So, as for my dream to work for NASA, I grew up looking at personalities like Kalpana Chawla. She is one of the astronauts that I've been like heavily motivated and inspired by. So, I always wanted to work in the space industry, be it ISRO or NASA. I had applied for ISRO and NASA. But then, like, after I came for my master's in the United States, it somehow manifested into me working for NASA.
And as a woman, has it been tough to break through in this space?
Absolutely, because it is a heavily male dominated field, as you know, and for women to occupy certain space, they have to work really, really hard, be it like in the space industry or any industry, we do have to like put in 10 times more effort than men do.
Well, I'm really excited that you were able to achieve your first dream, inspired by Kalpana Chawla and women like her. And women in STEM, women at the cutting edge of science, remains a kind of battle that I think we fight every single day. But Vaishnavi, you dreamt of NASA, you achieved NASA, then you had another dream, and now you've actually turned, in a way, entrepreneur while remaining a scientist, and you have a brand new company, Mannequin. What is it going to be looking at? I know that it basically picks up this concept of how do you read and understand airborne pathogens, right? And that has been one of the most difficult things. And even in COVID, even during the pandemic, it took us forever to understand that COVID was not something that was spread by fomites or surface touch, but in fact, it was airborne, and its spread was also airborne. Now, you are looking at all airborne pathogens and looking at whether there's a technology, whether there's a science that can actually read these, pick these up. So talk a little bit about Mannequin, how this idea came to you, and what you hope to achieve and change with it.
Sure, Barkar. So my motivation for wanting to start Mannequin stemmed from my extensive research in planetary protection. So the concept of planetary protection is that the pathogens need hitchhike into the space, and this entire concept fascinated me a lot. However, I observed that the entire concept of planetary protection is heavily manual, strenuous, and time consuming. So I always believed that there had to be a more efficient way to identify these microbes, but I just wasn't sure how to achieve it. And then the COVID-19 pandemic struck and everything clicked into place. So the rapid spread of the virus and the significant loss of life highlighted a critical gap in our response capabilities. So the gap in the response time and the lives, the immense amount of lives we lost in between were stark demonstrations of how unprepared we still are in handling pandemics. So the combination of my passion for the planetary protection and the urgent need highlighted by the pandemic drove me to start Mannequin. So I saw an opportunity to bridge the gap between the pathogen detection technology and also to contribute to safeguarding public health on a global scale. So this was the entire story behind me starting Mannequin.
And in real terms, what are the sort of contemporary challenges that you hope a technology like this will be able to address? And how does the technology actually work?
So, talking about the challenges, Mannequin focuses on addressing three key challenges in the realm of pathogen detection. So, the first one is the time consuming processes. So, the
Mm-hmm.
current techniques like RT-qPCR and virus culturing, Barkha, often take a significant amount of time to produce results. So, developing real time detection sensors for faster turnaround time could save a lot of lives and the time that is taking in the consumption process. And the second thing is the efficient air sample collection. So
Mm-hmm.
sampling the air by itself is like a complex task. So improving methods for accurate detection from air samples can prove like a huge advantage. And then the most important thing is the lab in a sensor concept. So we are integrating the lab functionalities into a portable device. So we leverage expertise in different domains like virology, infection
Mm-hmm.
sciences, biochemical and electrical engineering, and also machine learning in order to revolutionize pathogen detection for more effective responses to public health issues.
So, to that extent, it is a kind of multidisciplinary sort of intersection of different specializations. But if you were to distill it down, uh, let's say to a layperson, what is at the heart of this technology? What are you doing, or what is Mannequin going to do that is different from what's been done before?
So when I talk about Mannequin, when my vision for Mannequin is that the data is what drives the entire technology. The data that the technology is collecting is heart of Mannequin, and the data that we get and the statistics that we can prove out of the data can give you immense information about the future pandemics, predicting new viruses, new bacteria, and that's not something that's being done now. So when we are talking about pathogen detection, we are just not talking only about COVID or just a specific
Yeah,
virus. We
sure.
are talking more about the gene of the viruses or bacteria as such. And we want to be able to position Mannequin in a way such that it is it can cater to all the pathogen detection needs in different domains. So, for example, the pathogens you may find in school can be different than the pathogens that you find in an airport. So, we want to be able to adapt ourselves to different technologies or different domains in order to cater to the all or the needs of the pathogen detection.
Now, you've of course broken barriers in your pursuit of being a NASA scientist. As you turn a sort of science entrepreneur or a technology entrepreneur, I think, as you mentioned, there are intersections there of multidiscipline sort of specializations. Who or what is the end user? Let's say Mannequin unveils itself as we are doing in this conversation. Uh, where do you expect it to be used the most? Is it going to be used by researchers? Is it going to be used in real time analysis? Is it a cautionary mechanism for, God forbid, the next pandemic? And when people were to look at you and say, okay, how is the company as a company going to sustain? What would you say?
So talking about it in a broader sense, globalization is happening at a fast pace. So
Mm-hmm.
we created a system that can move with people at the pace that they are moving at. So, like you said, the need for a product like Mannequin is literally everywhere, like be it in a hospital, airports, schools, restaurants, food production plants, etc. Yes, this is a very good problem to have in terms of business, but it is also probably the most difficult challenge to address. So we invested a lot of effort in identifying our core market and clearly outlining our ultimate objectives. So we have identified the food production facility as our first target market, and then
Mm.
we'll slowly eventually get to the hospitals and like human domain. So we are starting with a pilot, and we've signed our first contract with a company called Eggway. And Eggway is a company that manufactures powdered egg products that would be
Mm.
supplied to Heinz, which manufactures mayonnaise and like different other companies. So that is our first contract that we've signed. So like
So
we
so so play that out. So how would this work? Let's say in a food in Eggway, right? Like it's very interesting because it's sort of blockchain, so you're actually providing this technology to Eggway that supplies further its eggs to, let's say, Heinz that manufactures, as you said, mayo and other stuff. So how would Eggway use Mannequin's technology?
So when you're talking about anything related to food, the regulations are like extremely high, especially for a company that is supplying ingredients to a larger company like Heinz. They are very stringent in rules and regulations of
Hmm.
how they are like detecting for pathogens. So talking
Yeah.
about the production line in Eggway, so as they import the raw eggs, they crack open the egg, and then like they test for the microbes in the egg white and the egg yolk. So the separation of the egg white and the egg yolk, like that's the first step, and the microbes are detected there. And then there are 9 other steps until the egg yolk is like distilled, freezed, and powdered. So in all these 9 steps, in each and every egg, they do test for microbes. And these are like they collect physical samples, send into a lab, wait for the lab results to come in, and if at all like the results like get delayed for some reason, they have to dispose the entire production of that particular day, so which results in millions of dollars of loss for them. So what Mannequin is doing there is providing them real time on spot results, so that they don't have to like face any wastage of food, and it saves a lot of money for them. So that's how it's playing about in Egway.
Fascinating. Now, uh, what are the specific challenges that you face as a woman uh, CEO? You have a sort of double whammy in terms of being a woman in science and a female CEO. A female CEO in any profession, in any stream, will have to face challenges, whether in raising capital or a seat at the high table. That's true across professions. But when you couple that with being a woman at sort of high end science, top level science and technology, there is a double set of biases that can actually kick in. So, what's that experience been like thus far?
So, Barka, I think we all know that in such a male dominated field,
Yeah.
there are going to be expectations on females to prove themselves, to
Hmm.
earn the space that they're occupying. So, this can be explicitly expressed or implied. And
Hmm.
yes, the nature of business by itself is to be transactional. But in situations where a woman is the lead, business is always transactional. Whether her company is well established or fledgling, business is always transactional. So I will give you an example. Early on, I was approached by somebody to give a pitch to a very highly influential investor. During the meeting, it quickly became evident to me that the motivation for inviting me was solely based on optics. So I was offered a check strictly based on the fact that I, an Indian woman, am the face of this company, and my colleague, a woman of color, is the CSO. So they offered us a check based only on that, and we rejected it.
That and why did you reject it? Were you offended? Were you feeling like you were being used as tokens?
No, so the reason for us to reject, again, like we didn't like the fact that they used those optics to offer a check to us.
Correct. It's a tokenism. It's a kind of tokenism, right?
Correct. So that's not something we are like women with standards, right? That's not something that we accept. And the other thing is that we wanted people, investors in Mannequin, who will believe in the vision for Mannequin and not drive the company in a different way than we had in our mind. So our founding team is like the core founding team is very, very strong on our mission, and we wanted to start with the food production plant and slowly make our way into the human market.
What you've said is so important because in this sort of um, larger conversation about diversity and inclusion, I think something that we forget is that women can be just as driven, just as fastidious, just as meticulous, just as ambitious, just as perfectionist, just as obsessive. And while I take the gendering to the degree that we have to work much harder and we're judged much more harshly, I don't think we want to be judged by lower standards. I mean, I think we're extremely competitive.
Absolutely not. Yeah, we should. That is how it should be. Women should be competitive. Women should be fighters, and we need to strongly occupy the space that we are.
What is the advice then? How long has it taken you to basically, from start to finish, put your dream and Mannequin together? And what have you learned along the way that you could offer as advice, counsel to other women who might just be starting out?
Sure. So, like, as for Mannequin, it did take a lot of time for me. So, to build a revolutionary product like this, the first main thing that I needed to do was like put together a strong team. I spent close to 7 months just researching on the team. I put together a team. I fought to find the best talent I could possibly find in the industry. And our team includes people from NASA, NIH, Stanford, CMU, and IIT Chennai. So we brainstormed together early on for 6 other months to come up with a concept for our prototype. And then that process alone took like 1 year for me. And then like the next year we spent on like building the concept, building the prototype, doing pilots and everything, while I was busy working on like giving pitches and raising money. My core team focused on building the product and like proving that the product works as it is supposed to. So it did take me like 3 years to get to where I am, like signing the first contract for my company. But it was it's always worth the wait. We always believed in our larger goal and larger mission, and here we are talking to you, and we're very happy about where we are right now. So as for like my advice to aspiring female entrepreneurs, I am someone who prefers sharing life lessons over giving advices. So I would say that, say one thing, always be receptive to the situations in your life, whether they're good, bad, not so good, not so bad.
Mhm.
Just be very receptive. Remember that the continuous flow of water is what smooths the rock edges. So be receptive to the situations.
What are your personal intersectionalities? You know, some of us are able to do this because we've had mentors and we've had encouragement, or we've had privilege, or we've had class benefit, or we've had access to an education that others haven't had, right? And to that extent, even when we struggle, we have a certain degree of privilege. What are your intersectionalities?
So I am a female, an Indian, a to be wife, a daughter, a sister, a to be daughter in law, a CEO, a friend. So all these roles inform me of who I am and why I do what I do. And with that, there is an immense pressure to succeed and master in all of these roles. So, in doing so, the pressure can be extremely overwhelming. But the drive not to let the people who are important to me down is what keeps me going.
Let me end by asking you, you know, when you were, how old were you when you knew you wanted to join or work at NASA? How old were you?
I was in my fifth grade. I vividly remember that scene. So I went to a school called Rosary Convent in Hyderabad, India. So they showed us this documentary about
Mm.
Kalpana Chawla, and I was in my fifth grade back then. And that very moment, I wanted to work for NASA. And in every slam books or everything, like in all the conversation with my friends, I had only told them this: I want to work for
Amazing.
NASA and I want to start my own company. This is what I've told.
Amazing. So now you're at the cusp of fulfilling your second dream, not just your first. In 5 years from now, what do you dream about when it comes to Mannequin? What is your ambition for it? What is your big canvas dream for it?
So I always knew that I wanted to start a company, but I waited for like 2 whole years to pick this idea for the company, because when I say that I wanted to start a company, I wanted to start a venture level company, a company
Hmm.
and develop a product that can be used in like every household. 5 years down the lane, I envision Mannequin to be in every household, just like a fire alarm detector. You would have this device mounted on your ceiling or on your walls, and then like it would act like a door ring bell system where you have a mobile application, and if at all it picks up any pathogen of concern, it sends you a push notification. So that is how I envision Mannequin. So another pandemic is just around the corner. It's just a matter of time, and we need to be prepared in handling it, better handling it.
Well, it sounds incredible. And I just want to say congratulations. I'm happy that I'm able to be some small part of this moment when Mannequin is being unveiled. I wish you all the luck in the world. And may you keep dreaming big and dreaming in such a way that it changes not only your own life, as clearly working at NASA has, but the lives of millions of others, because that's what is the service of science at its very heart, is to improve the lives of people. So thank you, Vaishnavi Yathirajam. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I wish Mannequin and you all the very best.
Thank you very much, Barkha. Like I already said, you're such an inspiration, and it's truly an honor to be talking to you. And thank you for unveiling Mannequin for me as we start this very first contract with our first full-fledged company. Thanks a lot for all your best wishes.
Good luck.
Thank you.